Okay, so here we go. I'm actually going to, besides the North American interesting occultations, which is third on my list, I've got a couple of other topics I just wanted to take this opportunity to touch on. One is our statistics. One are a couple of the metrics that I like to pay attention to in my role is participation, the number of chords year to year. And these reflect the health of the organization, I think.
John, can you just remind us of your role for folks who are just coming in?
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm the North American coordinator for IOTA. And this presentation will have a North American focus to it. So just
for asteroid occultations, we should point out because Derek Bright's the coordinator for lunar events.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. Yes, that's correct. So anyway, I've got some very high-level statistics to go over, and then I've also this year, and I shamelessly stole the ideas for these topics from Steve Kerr and his excellent presentations that he gives. I watched those events, the TTSO events down under, and they always do a great job, and I get great ideas for topics to present. So credits to Steve for providing me with these ideas. Now these statistics are very basic. Okay, what I did is I look at the number of positive events. So these are events that get recorded onto our North American website, asteroidal events with a positive, at least one positive. And then I break it out, also the number of positive chords and negative chords that are associated with those events. So again, these are fairly high level statistics, and I don't know that the raw numbers are as important as the trend. And I think it's a healthy trend that we see a really nice increase in the activity in all of these. And I can share with you right now, just looking at the 2020, the first half numbers, I think these trends are going to continue. There's a lot of reasons for this. I'll touch on a couple of them, but fundamentally it's the hard work of all the people that participate in IOTA, that are listening to this call, and I really appreciate your efforts. I'll probably finish early, so if there's any questions at the end, we can go over it. It's interesting, the number of negative chords. We tend to, I think, just trying to read between the lines, I think we tend to file constraining negatives, and then the misreports that are further removed from the actual occultation many times maybe just are never filed, and that's why there are so few negative chords associated with these events. That's my explanation. That there may be other good ideas. I'd love to hear them. So that's just kind of the trend. Oh, and I wanted to take this opportunity also to give a shout out to the review team. And as most everybody knows that's submitted a report, it's reviewed by Jerry Bardecker, Ernie Iverson, and Steve Messner are the three reviewers. And then we get a tremendous amount of support from Tony George, helping us analyze reports that, there's questions about. So those four people are doing the heavy lifting as far as supporting these volumes. As these volumes ramp up, we need to be sure we have processes in place to be able to deal with all this data. So those are the guys I wanted to give a shout out to. As far as busy observers, I'll just quickly go through this list. And again, if we look at last year, I just look at all of the events that had at least one positive, and then the number of chords column on the right are both the positive and the misses associated with those events. Okay, it's just that simple. And as everybody knows, Joan and David Dunham are very busy observers, and they pick up a lot of multiples. The key to their numbers are, I saw one recently where Dave and Joan set out 9 stations that collected data. And so when you're dealing with multiples like that, the numbers really add up quickly, and it provides a tremendous, additional chord resolution provides a lot of valuable scientific data. And then, of course, number 2, Paul Maley, our single most prolific observer. I think he always has been. I think he probably always will be. If there's a clear night, you can pretty much bet Paul Maley will be out under the stars observing. He has by far the most number of events. His 45 are primarily made up of individual chords on individual events. So just, a great job by Paul as always. And I expect that to continue. I've seen his reports coming in this year, and he certainly isn't backing off. Roger Venable is another observer and very valuable from just his geographic location in the southeast, where he gives us some good coverage, and he does a lot of multiples himself. He's the only observer I know of that will leave a C14 as an unattended pre-point station out in the field somewhere. So kudos to Roger for his efforts. Number 4, Dave Esper, and then I'm going to lump Chris Anderson in with this. These 2 guys are observing from a fixed location, and it's remarkable that both of them not only produce the number of positives that they report and associated negatives on other observations with a positive, but I can't describe the number of just misreports that these guys file, which just says that, again, if it's a clear night, they're not only observing, but they're probably observing multiple opportunities. Anything that comes anywhere close, they're going to have, they will make an attempt to observe it. And so those numbers are impressive, especially when you understand that they're operating from a fixed site. Tony out in the Southwest, blessed with the good weather he has, is always busy. I don't know how he finds time with all the analytical work he does for us. But he obviously gets out at night quite a bit as well. Steve Messner and his wife Liz go on these occultation expeditions, and in fact he's on one right now, and they drive around a camper shell in the back of a pickup, and they typically stay at state parks all through the central part of the country. He's been through Oklahoma a couple of times. He and I have hooked up on a couple of occasions on the same event and coordinated our efforts, and it's always fun to see him. And again, he's part of the review team as well, so he's always busy. He maintains the low mag feed, and he also has his own fixed observatory. So Steve is a busy guy. I'll skip over myself. I snuck on the list mainly because I bagged 9 chords on last year's Phaethon event out in the desert. I'm not sure I'll be able to produce those kind of numbers again, but who knows. Wayne Thomas out in Arizona, again, very busy guy, typically single chords and just constantly out observing anything that comes near him. Jerry Bardecker near Tahoe, same thing. And he also participates in recon and is part of the review team. And then I talked about Chris with David Esper with the, Chris is in Idaho, probably doesn't have the most consistent weather, but he makes up for it with just brute effort because he's got that scope pointed skyward. I can assure you any night that's clear, Chris is trying for multiple events. So congratulations to everybody on that list. And, you know, this again was something similar to what Steve Kerr presents, and I just thought it was a good idea. So I wanted to give a shout out to these guys that really, we kind of follow the 80-20 rule, where about 80% of our chords roughly are produced by about 20% of the really active observers. And these guys are the top of the list. So great job, guys and ladies, by the way. Sorry, Joan. Okay, the interesting observations. I just made this quick list up, and there's no magic here. I just went through last year's list. I counted up the number of chords on a given observation and then sorted them in that order. So that that's how you get on this list, is you're one of the, this is, it's not really top 10. I think it's like top 8 or something, but these are the ones that had higher than average chords reported. So they made the list. Of course, Phaethon, if I'm saying that right, was by far the largest as far as participation goes. It was a lot of fun. A lot of people on this call went to the desert last year and observed this. I know Kai drove all the way from Ohio, sleeping in rest stops to get out there, record an event, and jump in his car and drive back home. An amazing commitment. And we had a lot of similar efforts demonstrated on this one. It was great to be around people. It's a lot of fun to collaborate on these big campaigns, and this one was by far the largest. David Dunham did the local coordination, and because it was a small body and it's moving quickly, and they weren't real certain on the prediction, although they nailed it in hindsight. But we had this real tight chord spacing for those reasons. And we were only, it was something like 450 meters, 440 meters or something like that was kind of the average chord spacing on this. So it just a really a fun event to participate in. And I hope we get to do some more someday. And this is one of the reasons of a high interest in this asteroid, which has a lot of unique characteristics. I believe it's referred to as the rock comet, and I think it passes closer to the sun than any other known comet and or body. I think it actually passes inside the orbit of Mercury, and it's the target for the Japanese space agency Destiny Plus mission with a proposed launch date of 2022. So keep an eye out for that one. And then there was another Phaethon occultation last year, and this one was almost exclusively a Dunham effort. And Greg Lyzenga and Bob Jones helped out, and thank you to everybody. But this is another example of a high value target, and this data is highly prized. So great job on that one. Psyche, this one, one of the unique things about this is 15 out of 15 chords got a positive, which, I mean, that just never happens, but it did on this one. And not only did we bat 1,000, 15 out of 15, but the fit was really, really accurate on this, and this is the shape model. So a good, again, lots of participation, great job by all the observers, very consistent data, and just a great model fit. So nice job on Psyche. Euryanthe, again, you see a recurring theme here, multiple Dunham chords with other members of the Arizona gang, as I refer to them. Great job on this. Good coverage. We would have gotten this one with even had it had a shift to the other side of the prediction line, but either way, we got good data on it, and with lots of people participating. Melpomene is, and I hope that's right, Melpomene. Again, now these guys are, this was primarily people more in the Northeast, and they turned out in numbers and evidently had some pretty decent weather and got a really nice set of data on this one. And then Vibilia, same thing. As you can tell, we're getting down to fewer chords, so I think I'm near the end of the list. This one was unique in that Emily Warner, you can see at the bottom, she had a multiple positive on the same chord. So probably evidence of concavity or some kind of odd shape in the asteroid itself, but her chord is not one that we see all that often, where we'll get it's a graze and we get two positives from the same chord. And again, this one was primarily the Eastern observers, and so great to see them on the list. Pandora, again, a lot of chords, a lot of participation. The prediction was pretty accurate, so we got a good number of hits, good fit, and Dunham's and Venable, and then other individual chords on there, and just all in all, a great job. I put Lucius, I think Lucius on there, which is part of the Lucy mission. And this one is interesting in that if you want to follow up on some of the missions and some of the work that results from the work that we do, this is an interesting one to look at, and the way they're going to go visit the Trojans, visit 7 Trojans and 1 main belt asteroid on this mission with a fairly convoluted path to the satellite, but very interesting mission. I participated in the Sweary trips to out to Arizona and then to the San Antonio area a couple of years ago on this, but this one last year was a very successful effort on our part. And then Hector, I put this on because of the international coordination and collaboration that took place. Roger set up 3 sites across Florida and got positives on all 3, Roger Venable. And then we had several people in Europe that contributed and ended up with a good set of data on this with a widely flung group of observers, and it's always fun to collaborate with our friends from across the pond. So I went ahead and put this one on the list just for those reasons. And with that, I am about done. The one other thing I wanted to mention is when we talk about my first slide that had the trending increase in observations, chords, and participation. We do have multiple new members. I'll just mention we've got a trio, Sam Insana, Don Boyd, and Paul Fasuna, that work together. Zane Moore is fairly new. Brian Tobias is now making contributions. Phil Stewart down on the Gulf Coast has been doing great work and always submits complete and perfect reports, which we very much appreciate. Skip Whitehurst here in Tulsa has come on strong and is now doing consistently good work. Tim Gong in New Jersey has contributed on several observations. All of our new observers, and there are others, and I apologize for not, I'm sure I haven't included everyone that would qualify as a new observer, but both the observers and the people that are mentoring them, working with them and helping them through their first set of observations. I just really want to give a strong shout out to that. I think the new blood that we introduce, the new observers and younger observers, our demographics are kind of skewed toward the high end of the age range, and it's a activity that lends itself for people that are retired. But it's good to keep infusing the new talent and keep the enthusiasm with the young observers so that those trend lines will continue in their upward direction. With that, I'll just, I think I'm probably a little early, but I'll be happy to try to answer any questions if there are some. I don't think there are any questions, so I will give it back to you, Ted.
Thank you, John. Really good job. It's really encouraging to see your name on a list, and I just want to thank you for providing that feedback to those who've worked so hard to produce these scientific results. David Harold from Australia has joined us. Murrum Bateman, Australia.